Hello, Sean. Today we're going to be cooking a really good grilled cheese sandwich. I got this idea from watching a YouTube video featuring Matt Pett called, the show is called Food Theory. And the idea of the show was to make the longest grilled cheese pool they possibly could. And they ended up getting about 5 feet in length. I thought that was super cool. They did it using some kitchen science, using some certain elements that we're not going to use today. But it got me thinking about grilled cheese sandwiches in my past that meant everything to me, or how I can have one now and it makes me feel very comforted, regardless of what's going on. And I thought what we could do today was kind of go through some steps to make a dope grilled cheese sandwich. Okay? So, first we're going to talk ingredients. Next, we're going to talk about kind of what's happening when you're cooking. And then we'll discuss cooking implements, your tools, whatnot. So first, let's talk about bread. Okay, so you might be tempted to use something like a sourdough, or something like that that has larger fermentation air bubbles in it, but you don't want that, not for a grilled cheese sandwich, not. Maybe for garlic bread, sure, not for this. You want a simple, white milk bread. Today I'm going to be using a white French. Use a chocopan, you could use a Franz, whatever you want. The idea is that it's firm and has kind of a, press your finger into it, kind of has a little give. Right. So next let's talk cheese. Cheese, we're going to want a combo of three things. It's going to be older cheese. That's going to be your sharp cheddar, something between 16 and 18 months. And then you're going to want a baby cheese. Baby cheese, I'm going to use a low moisture baby Mott's for my recipe here today. And then last but not least, we are going to be using a good old slice of American. And you'll see why we use those in a second. We're going to talk about Maillard reaction and what happens when you use butter versus an XVO, like an extra virgin olive oil. So the neat thing about butter is that it has lactose in it. And as you cook that, those fats blend with the citric acid fat that are in it as well. And a chemical reaction starts happening. And that's how you get that brownness. That happens every time you cook something and you get that nice kind of caramel brown color on it. Think about like a steak that you had. And so the reason why I use the butter is because that's how you get that nice crispy, kind of almost like it's like has a little bite to it, a little acid to it. And you wouldn't get that any other way, essentially. So, let's see. We've got our cheese blends. Let's talk about the actual cooking. Okay? You're going to want everything brought up to ambient temperature. So leave your butter out. I know it's difficult. It's difficult for me. And then we're going to do things a little bit differently than you might expect. We're going to start with a pre-buttered piece of bread. I used a compound garlic chive butter. But you can use whatever you want. Salted, unsalted, doesn't really matter. This isn't about our health. We're not baking anything. Okay. So, what you're going to want to do is you're going to take your two slices that you're going to use for your grilled cheese sandwich, and you're going to pre-toast them on one side. Once you have that ready, and your bread is nice and warm, you're going to butter the other side that hasn't been buttered yet. Toss a little salt in your tray or in your saute pan and put it down. Next, you're going to want to add your cheese, layer by layer. Break up a little bit of American, put it on the bottom, and then you're going to use a combination of your old and you're young, and it'll end up looking like something like that when it's blended together. And they'll kind of be in the middle. And then those multiplying salts from the American cheese is going to bring it all together, bring it back home. So if you had your worries about old cheese being too oily or your young cheese getting too wet, this is going to help guarantee a great Sammy. Right. So we're cooking. Now you're going to add your other piece of toast, or half toasted bread rather, and slow and low. I'm on an induction burner right now, and we're cooking at about a 3 to a 4. You can't rush it. This is where the magic happens. So just as long as it takes, as long as it's going to take. And speaking of which, there's a couple different tools that we can use that may take longer or shorter. It's all about preference. So you could use a cast iron pan, seasoned. Everyone loves it. It takes a while to heat up. It's a pretty thick metal, right? Or you could use something like this. This is just like a classic saute pan. I'm using this today because I got the low burner. And this kind of Teflon pan is going to heat up way faster than, say, your big old cast iron. Cast iron's great though for a really even golden cook because it just like retains heat so much better than the thinner stuff. One thing I will note is that if you're using a Teflon pan, that you're going to want to use something like this and not something metal to work with your pan because one scratch and that stuff will get all up in your food and it's a cancerous agent and no one wants that. And then you have a ruined pan, right? So just use the plastic stuff. Let's see here. Next thing I want to talk about is, I guess, your mise en place. That's all the stuff I've been showing you. If you have everything laid out in front of you, it makes it a lot easier to max out your situation. Let's see here. I think I mentioned everything. So in conclusion, this is how you make a great grilled cheese sandwich. It takes some time. It takes a couple elements. It takes bread, butter, cheese, heat. Once you have all those things and a little bit of patience, you can come together, make something really great, end up looking like this. Thank you for your time.